We feel like Drury is a safe place for ideas, a liberal pursuit of the truth, not a pursuit of liberal truth, but a liberal pursuit of the truth.
Welcome to In Our Town, Conversations with Springfieldians Making a Difference. I'm your host, Tom Carlson, publisher of the Springfield Daily Citizen. If you'd like to comment on this episode, our email is inourtown@sgfcitizen.org. We'd love to hear from you. Our guest today is the new president of Drury University, John Beuerlein. He replaces Tim Cloyd, who resigned earlier this year, citing family health concerns. John, who has lived and worked in St. Louis for his professional career, is no stranger to Springfield, however. He grew up here, he attended St. Agnes Grade School, and he graduated from Drury. After that, he joined the St. Louis investment firm Edward D. Jones, where he became a partner. I don't know how much credit John would take for it, but Edward Jones has grown to over 19,000 advisors with over $1.7 trillion, that's trillion with a T, under management. John clearly believes that if you've been successful, you should share your success with others. For example, he has devoted time and resources to Washington University in St. Louis, where he served on the Board of Trustees. He served on the Drury Board of Trustees as well. He was chairman of their board for a time. And he supports a school in India, which was founded by former Drury professor Robin Roy. John, welcome to In Our Town.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
My pleasure. Well, you've obviously had a very successful career with Edward Jones. I know you love Drury, but you're at that stage of life that a lot of people want to retire. Why'd you take this job?
Yeah, Tom, up until about 6 months ago, I thought my main purpose in life was to terrorize grandchildren, which I did with some regularity. I've always been, I think of my home as Springfield. 6 of my siblings still live here, 8 of which were educated by the professors over at Drury, so I've always stayed close to the place. Yeah, my parents always raised me to believe to those to whom much has been given, much is expected, and this place is, without a doubt, one of the finest investments I ever made, both personally and professionally. It opened up so many doors for me, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity at Washington University or Edward Jones had it not been for the foundation that was set here at Drury. So, yeah, this is like a coming home experience for me.
Well, my sense is when Dr. Cloyd resigned, that was rather sudden. So now they're searching around. You know, you mentioned that, of course, your devotion and your feeling that you should give back. What do you see as the challenges? I'm sure there's probably some slop in the gears, but you're not planning on making this a long-term job.
No, that's right. They asked me if I would consider being the bridge to the next president. I'm not an academic. You know, I'm a businessman, and so I approach most things with that lens.
You're not going to do a Joe Biden on us and run for second term.
I'm not. Well, I'm not going to do a Todd Parnell on you, too, either. Todd was actually a board member when I was board chair, and we needed someone to come in and in a similar situation, become an interim. And so I asked Todd to step off of the board to become our interim. And
he never forgot it, did he?
Well, he said, I'll do it for a year. And so 6 years later, he stepped down. And so he loved it. And quite honestly, I love it too. If this were an opportunity in St. Louis, I might stay a bit longer, but all my family's in St. Louis and grandkids are all there. And my wife is going to come down for special events, but she's very well a big do-gooder in the St. Louis community too. So she's got obligations up there, but I was a bit more footloose and fancy-free, so it was an easy way for me to say yes.
So are you living on the campus
during
the week?
Yeah, last weekend I actually moved into the president's house. It's not totally remodeled and painted, but they've got a bedroom and a kitchen that are very functional. That's all I need.
Being in the business community, I'm sure you've heard what they call a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Let's start with the strengths. If I had my son or daughter were considering Drury, they're on the bubble, what would you say to them?
Well, our strengths are, without a question, our core competency lies in the gray matter that exists on the campus, the professors, and their love affair with the students. Now, I know a lot of places say that, but it really does exist on our campus. There's a love affair. We say we have a spirit of community passionate about student success. And if you hear the all the graduates, when they come back together and they talk about their time, they talk about professors that they had here. I went to a retirement recently of one of our professors, and all the professors were standing around talking about the students. So it works both ways. So that would be certainly our strength, that we're not like Washington University is a research institute. Drury is a teaching institute. It's where they take the profession of teaching very seriously. So weaknesses, I would say like all small liberal arts universities, there's always a lot more you'd like to do, but you don't have the financial resources that a public institution has. So you're constantly making trade-offs. We'd be doing a lot more if we had more support. I think an opportunity for us to do that is to recapture that presence that we once had as a very civically engaged university. I think that's where the fun is, quite honestly, is to get out into the community and look for opportunities for strategic alliances, partnerships that where together you can do greater things than you can do by yourself. And so if I bring an enthusiasm to the table, it's for meeting people and understanding what their love affair is with Springfield and what we have in common in that respect, because Springfield has been great to Drury University for 150 years. And if we have an opportunity to give back, we ought to give back to them.
Well, I've been around for a while, and
you know the place.
I know the place. And one of the things that people will say repeatedly about Springfield is the spirit of collaboration we have here. Mm-hmm. And without naming names, I think I could safely say that there are some presidents from both public and private universities here that never bought into that. And they didn't last much more than a year, frankly. Mm-hmm. They really mean it, and that you should work together and that sort of thing. And it's good to hear that you really believe in what's called the town-gown relationship.
Yep, I absolutely do. It's why the universities were created, was to help the communities thrive. We have a responsibility to our students to get them off the campus and into the community to test social change experiments that help make Springfield a better place. There's a lot of magic that goes on in the classroom, but if you can apply that under live fire and real life circumstances, when you graduate, you can hit the ground running as an engaged civic citizen.
I've always thought that one of the things that a private university can offer that they can't always get at a public university is to develop a close relationship with their professors. I mean, I think half of the learning is not sitting in a room and listening to a lecture, but the engagement that, if they will take advantage of it, makes a big difference. And I would think that'd be a big selling point for Drury.
Absolutely is. I was at a program last night at one of our trustees' homes. Kim Ham was hosting a Welcome to Drury meeting for students and their parents, and her daughter Lauren was talking to the students and said, this professor's my bestie, this professor's my second bestie. And, there's such an affection and a warmth that exists between the professors and the students. I think about Kurt Strube and the impact that he made on me in the business school. And there's so many of them that I could name that helped shape my life. When I first showed up on the scene, the staff and faculty said, we want to have a town hall meeting. We want to know who you are. And so I said, what's the best way for me to tell you that story other than to tell you who were the professors that I had and how they shaped my character and how they shaped my professional skills along the way. And I gave them about a dozen examples of who I had been mentored by. And I said, you want to know who I am? I'm Drury.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Mm-hmm. That's nice to hear. The things I think about with Drury is what I would call either the professional schools or the schools that prepare people for the professions, like in architecture, business, and medicine. Why don't you tell us what's going on in those departments?
Well, two new departments that we've got. There's a new physician's assistant program that's a strategic alliance between ourselves, Cox North. 31 students starting in a couple of weeks. That's a new professional program that we've just started. We've just hired a crackerjack engineering professor from an Illinois university who's starting a mechanical and electrical engineering program for us. So we're expanding our programs. The architectural school is going strong, and it grows in terms of its stature each and every year, and the reputation that it has is something that's a source of pride to us.
You're coming up, is it on the 150th anniversary?
We are, the 25th of September. Anybody want to come over and join in the celebration? 25th of September, 1873 was when we were founded, and we're going to kick off a year-long celebration. We've turned out over 45,000 graduates over the course of those years that have fanned out into the community and helped make Springfield the place that it is. And a lot of people in St. Louis and in Kansas City that are also the cities benefit from the influence that the Drury has had on their communities. And anybody thinking about supporting Drury is really supporting Springfield and Kansas City and St. Louis and the greater Midwest area.
So, in preparation for my interview today, I did a little background reading, and hope I won't play gotcha interviews with you. But tell us about this Fortify the Future campaign.
Yeah, it's got three prongs to it. Everybody who goes to Drury gets a scholarship. 100% of the students there do. It's in constant need of reinforcement, continuous investment in those scholarships. So I'll be out stumping in the community over the next 12 months to try and showcase for those who have an interest or an ability to invest in some of the students at Drury a way to do that. The heritage buildings that are the infrastructure that we use to deliver the great experience, the student experience that we have. It's hard to keep up with all the needs that they have, and so we did think that probably the top priority, and this was very early on in my tenure as the interim president, I started listening to students and I asked them, what are the top priorities? Thinking that I would hear that a brand new, shiny student center was forefront of their wish list, but quickly learned that the residence halls were the top priorities. Students like to live in a nice place, and since the pandemic has occurred, a lot of them sit in their dorms and they have their devices and they're not getting out and getting engaged. And so it even underscores the need for them to have a nice place to stay. We're trying to drag them out into the campus and onto the community to see that there's a lot more than the dorm life and devices that go into their personal development. But endowment is the third prong of the Fortify the Future. You know, we have tuition, we have donations, and we have yield off of our endowment that help drive most of what we do.
Right.
So having as large an endowment as we possibly can, unrestricted preferably, but we'll take restricted dollars if they come our way as well.
What's the size of your endowment at this point?
$77 million. That's down from $100 million a few years ago, but we've been taking opportunities to programmatic needs to expand, like the PA program, the engineering program, to take some money out of the endowment to expand the student experience academically, and we're constantly looking for ways to feed it back.
Well, play a little inside baseball here. It's probably something I'm more interested in, but I can't pass up the opportunity to ask you because of your depth of expertise in financial matters. What about your asset allocation? There was a time when a lot of universities were trying to follow what they called the Yale model and getting into alternative investments and that sort of thing. It didn't work out for everybody. How does Drury split up its asset allocation?
Yeah, it's balanced. It's a balanced approach to the marketplace. We're not going to take big risks. A place like Washington University that I used to sit on their board realized they went from $9 billion to $15 billion, so it was about a $6 billion gain in their endowment. Gave $1 billion or $2 billion of it back the next year. But yeah, they invested in some highly aggressive private equity kinds of investments that paid off big time. But now they're sitting about $15 billion. I'd just like to have the interest off of their portfolio for a day. But we're a conservative place, and we're not going to take a lot of risk. There's too much at stake for it. So I think people
can't swing for the fences.
No, I mean, we need to be respectful of people's investment in the place, and they worked hard for the money that they might donate to us, and we take that very seriously. And we're not going to be reckless with money that they worked hard to make.
So you're going to be out doing what a lot of college presidents do and calling on potential donors and telling their story. But a big part, if they're going to let you go after a year, is you got to find somebody to replace you.
We do.
Let's talk about the search.
Are you interested in them applying?
I think knowing Drury, I think they probably have a minimum level of competence that they're looking for. Let's talk about that a little bit. Are you going to conduct the search yourself or retain an outside firm?
We have Academic Search is the name of the company in Washington, D.C. that we've contracted with, and we'll start in September with that process. And love to find somebody locally if we could.
Well, I think that's always best. They know the town if you can do it.
Absolutely. So anybody within listening range that think that they might have an interest, we're interested in listening to you.
Well, Missouri State, of course, it's up to the Board of Governors. anybody's willing to read the tea leaves, Cliff Smart hired Zora Mulligan, who's
Yeah.
a former Drury
Yes.
grad, in fact. And I think with the idea that he wanted to have a couple strong internal candidates. What about a woman as president of Drury?
Bring her on. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, we came very close to hiring one couple of searches back, but we want somebody who's qualified, who's passionate about student success like we believe we are, who believe in the mission of creating a teaching institution where we feel like Drury is a safe place for ideas, a liberal pursuit of the truth, not a pursuit of liberal truth, but a liberal pursuit of the truth, where both conservative and liberal ideas can come together. And I'm a registered Republican, but I find myself voting with the Democrats a fair amount of the time. So I like the middle of the aisle. That's where democracy lives, the exchange of ideas. And Drury is hopefully that place where students come together and they respect each other, listen to each other, and everybody's made up of different life experiences that create who they are. We have some things in common. We have things that are different. Drury is a place where you come to explore those ideas and find out what truth is for you.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Hi, I'm Rance Berger. I'm the managing editor of the Springfield Daily Citizen. I've been a Missouri journalist for about 18 years now. I've worked a total of 8 different jobs in 5 different places, but it's all been in Missouri. The hardest part of my job is really finding time to give all of our stories the love that they deserve. You know, we have such a great group of reporters. When they work that hard, I want to be able to put that much work back into their stories to make them even better. The most rewarding part of my job is just being as plugged into what life is here in Springfield, Missouri. I get to know everything that's going on in government, in business, in education. I like living in Springfield because it's never boring, there's always something to do, and there's a wide variety of experiences available. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there a little bit and go look for them.
It's a provocative comment, I suppose, but some people say that too many universities have diversity in everything anymore except thought. You want to respond to that?
Wow, I hadn't heard that one before. I'm a big believer in diversity. That's what makes America great, is all the variety of backgrounds. I believe in diversity, bringing various cultures together and let them explore what is the truth for that individual. We have smart students that come to Drury, and I think we need to trust them. Some people say, oh, no, don't expose them to that, don't expose them to this. Mm-hmm. I think they're smart enough that they're going to figure it out, what truth is. Well,
isn't that the purpose of university, is get exposed to new ideas?
I think it is.
Yeah.
So, to make a value judgment on that, I've told students, I said, hopefully you haven't got a major figured out yet, the freshmen that are coming in. Please tell me you're undecided. Because I made the mistake of thinking I was going to be a political science major. And I got in there very quickly and discovered, that really isn't what I wanted to do. Fell in love with what was going on over in the business school, and quickly changed my major. There's such a rich tapestry of classes you can take in history and religion and public speaking and and sciences. Expose yourself to all of that. Otherwise, you're cheating yourself out of a rich student experience.
A lot of universities are talking about what's called this demographic cliff. There's prediction of fewer students that will be enrolling in the next few years because birth rates dropped off several years ago. How big a concern is that for Drury, and how are you going to deal with it?
Yeah, you have done your homework, haven't you? You have. Obviously very concerned about it. And so what it forces you to do, Tom, is to tell your story with more clarity so students understand what is the value they're going to get from coming to your place as opposed to so many other good places that exist. What's the value that I'm going to get there? And then work really hard so that your audio matches your video.
I like that.
And so that you don't create a gap in the experience that causes them to lose that love and feeling in their freshman year, and they don't come back in their sophomore year. We want to keep them. We want to get them there, and we want to keep them, whether they're involved in sports or in a fraternity or sorority or in some club. We've got to hook them 3 or 4 different ways, and so that rich experience in addition to the academic experience, keeps them there. We'll have a slightly bigger student body this year than we had last year.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
a
you.
lot of places can't say that.
Yeah, we're working really hard to try and tell our story.
You know, I can think of other small liberal arts colleges, William Jewell's struggling, for example, William Wood. Without talking about them specifically, why are so many small liberal arts colleges struggling these days?
I think there is a nationwide question mark around the value of a college education. We've got a smaller workforce, and so inflation has driven salaries up. The distance between what a college education used to generate for you in income and what high school degree could get for you going into a blue-collar career, that gap has narrowed. And so people say, why do I want to go and invest a lot of money in a college education, maybe come out with a lot of debt when I could just go to work? And so being able to attract people who will pay a smaller discount to net tuition is harder and harder to find. Keeping that net tuition discount at a small level so you can afford to pay the faculty and the staff the salaries that they deserve is a big part of the challenge. The analogy I use is in the 5 months that I've been on campus, this place is like a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, really?
Can you solve a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, no, not quickly.
Yeah, well, I can get one side of it done, but then I go start on the other side, and I'll get it right, but then I find out I've messed up the other side. So there's a lot of competing interests.
A lot of stakeholders, aren't there?
There are, and they all have important programs. The problem is you've got to have a product that the public is willing to pay for. And you've got to package it and market it in such a way that you'll attract enough students that you can pay for all of that. And that's the challenge. We're not as I said earlier, there's three ways that we run the place. It's tuition revenue, it's the benefactors that are donors, and in our endowment. And so those are the three ways you run a place.
I remember John Kaiser, who was president of Missouri State, gosh, I don't know what it is now, 15 years ago or so. You know, one of the strengths of universities in the United States is the diversity of thought. But John would joke, he'd say to me, Tom, you wouldn't want to take on the beaches of Normandy with the faculty. Because it's hard to get them to march all in the same line, which I guess brings me around as an observer to hiring of university presidents so far over the years. There's always been a high concern with the faculty that they want a new president to be one of them, somebody with what's called a terminal degree, a PhD in something. Some people would argue, well, yeah, if they got all those skills, but this is also a business. We've got to be able to run it. What about your board of trustees? Have they made a decision in that regard? Would you be open to somebody who doesn't have a terminal degree, or is it maybe it's not worth taking the opponents of that on?
Yeah, that's a great question. There has to be a balance. You know, it certainly has to be a strong appreciation for the magic that the faculty creates in the classroom, but it is a business. Whoever says that running a university is not a business has never run a university before. It's a business. And there's a lot of disciplines that can translate across both of those types of organizations. You know, we haven't said we want an academic. You know, Todd Parnell was not an academic, and Todd was a banker in town and did such a great job when he was the interim president, and then and he fell in love with the place and stayed on as long as he did. Great things happened when he was there. But it's a passion for the students, and it's a deep respect for the faculty, because they are our core competency, and they create the magic that differentiates us in the marketplace. So we have not said we want an academic. If this opportunity was in St. Louis, you know, where my family lives and grandkids and all that, I'd be thinking about applying for it myself. But it's going to be a great experience for me for the next year, and I hope to advance the ball down the field and make it possible for the next president to hit the ground running.
How would you hope to define success a year from now?
Where we've gotten everybody to realize that this is a team effort and that we're much better working together than working in silos. My definition of success in June next year, when the new president takes over responsibility, is if I can look him in the eye and said, I'm handing you an organization that's a growth organization, that everybody in the organization understands that they have a responsibility to help this place grow. If you're a student and you're having a good experience, you need to be telling all your friends, you ought to come to Drury and help recruit people so we can drive admissions. If you're a professor and you know of a graduate that you mentored and they're being successful in the community, you need to be getting them to mingle with our students and have them rekindle that love affair with students so that they'll want to sponsor scholarships for these students. People on the grounds crew could have a growth-minded attitude about their employment at the school by helping us recruit people. If they know of families that have children of the age of going to a school, tell them what a wonderful place we have here and drive our ability to not only attract students but to keep them there and then to influence those who have the ability to support the school to do that, because we're supporting Springfield. And if they, like me, have a love affair with Springfield, they'll want to do what's best for Springfield.
John, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to say?
Well, let me just say thank you to so many people. I am flattered over the last several months just how warm and receptive everybody has been to me and welcoming, and it's been really heartwarming to see how receptive they've been to my coming in and attempting to lead one of the institutions in the city that has thrived for such a long time. I told everybody I'm taking the Hippocratic Oath. I want to do no further harm. I just want to help make this place as good as it possibly can be. But truly, Tom, the reception that I've gotten is just over the top positive, and I'm just thankful for everybody being so nice.
Well, there's no question how important Drury is to Springfield now and over the last 150 years. And so I think I can say we wish you great success. I want to thank you for being our guest today and in our town.
Thank you for being so kind.
That's it for this week, and many thanks for listening. If you'd like to listen to other episodes, you can visit the Springfield Daily Citizen website at sgfcitizen.org/innertown or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.